Do you want more purpose, passion, play, love, joy, and happiness in your life? How about ease, grace, and flow? If you said yes to all that and no to pain, suffering, anxiety, depression, feeling numb, disconnection, etc., then you are right where you need to be. I'm going to walk you through how the heart works. Why am I going to talk about the heart? Because it is the missing link. It is the missing link in your life right now. I'm just going to put it that blunt and that frank because I've been there before. And still, this is a practice of connecting in with your heart and making it more of your life. It's a lifestyle shift altogether. But I encourage you to make the shift because the ROI on doing it is expansive and it compounds with interest over time, giving you all this and more. Not to mention guidance and clarity on exactly what you should be doing in life. I tune into my heart to make decisions all the time or to get another perspective, especially if my mind is kind of whirling around what the problem is and I just can't seem to stop the tunneling thoughts. Then that's when I'll pump the brakes, tune into my heart, and then ask my heart, what does it think about this situation? And most likely, most often, it tells me that is a non-issue. Now, I will say that as a quick sidebar, when I tune into my heart, I don't always get words. It's more feels. And I can just tell by tapping in, she's like, what issue? Like, we are infinite, powerful, no limits to anything. We are a link to pure source energy, creator of all things. So how can we even see a problem right now? That's kind of a human thing. So all that to say, it always brings me back to a higher perspective that I would not otherwise get if I didn't tune into my heart and have this deeper relationship. In my last video, I shared how to deepen your relationship with your heart, with that heart coherence, so that you can live a life led from the heart. And I'll even further explain why that has such tremendous benefits to you. One of the ways I guided you to do was, number one, to learn how the heart really works. I'm going to share with you what I have learned over the years and have gained through channeling from my guides, but this is not what will be readily available. Like, this is, it took me a long time to kind of connect all these different dots. In other words, I hope you enjoy it because this is going to broaden your perspective about what the heart is, how freaking amazing it is, and why we should be living our lives from our hearts at all times. Like, it was just silly to think it was the mind prior, which is what I think more societal conditioning than anything. Let me tell you right now, the heart is where it's at. So the first step to developing that relationship with your heart is to understand how the tool works. Like, you wouldn't go out, let's just say you got a chainsaw to clean up some stuff around your property, okay? So you wouldn't just pick up a chainsaw and then start getting to work without having any knowledge of how it works and how to make it work for you and how it works so that you can leverage it to your advantage. All right, the heart is the most amazing thing ever because it's the only organ in our body that has such big, enormous metaphysical properties as well. As I mentioned before, it is the most vital organ in our bodies. Life starts and ends with the heart. So don't you think it would be the place in which, I don't know, the God creator of this body, of this human experience, would have wanted us to live from? I think so. But don't let me tell you differently. I hope by learning more about how this amazing vessel works, that you will see the reason why the heart is where it's at. Number one, it produces an electrical current. If you have a heartbeat, then your heart is generating electricity. It's also muscle, so it's contracting to make those heartbeats happen. Also contained within our heart, this is kind of new research in the 90s, a doctor, Dr. Armour, did a study and discovered that we have sort of this little brain inside of our heart. Therefore, it is intelligent. It's got these dots. I mean, those are the little neurons, my little neural network there. that this neural network exists, sending messages to our brain, and not just any messages, but particularly ones that can signal emotional and cognitive pain. Of course, this isn't physical pain, like you got hit and ow, that hurt, but more or less the emotional and cognitive pain, how we perceive pain that may not be physically imposed upon us. So yeah, broken heart, that heart is definitely feeling that pain and sending it up to the brain, versus vice versa, where we thought previously that the brain perceived pain and sent it to the rest of the body where it needed to go for any particular reason. So that is profound in and of itself. It has its own nervous system. The heart is intelligent. It's pumping that electricity, therefore it's bioelectrical. So as an organ, it is also embedded with an energy center, or in other cultures they call this chakra. You may be familiar with the heart chakra. This has more metaphysical property to it. So the organ, bioelectrical, creating those heartbeats we can see and measure, like this. I forget what this is called. I think that's EEG. I don't know. The energy center is non-physical, but we do know, science does validate, that these two fused together is this electromagnetic field. Because your brain, or because your heart, which is also a little brain, because your heart is pumping these signals, this electrical pulse, it can generate this electromagnetic field that extends beyond the body. There is no other organ in our body attached to an energy center that does this. The heart is the only one. So do you think that we should be living our lives from our brain or the heart? Now, I will say the brain does put off electrical signals. Yes. There are some interesting correlations between the brain and the cosmic or the crown chakra, but that works a little bit differently. Those energy dynamics are a little bit different. This is the only organ attached to an energy center that produces a gigantic electromagnetic field. Now, just like our Earth has this ginormous electromagnetic field, toroidal field, in fact, that extends far outside the atmosphere, that is protecting us from the burning sun that is sending us nuclear radiation. It shields us from all that so we don't burn to a crisp. That's how powerful electromagnetic fields are. That the churning metal in the epicenter of our Earth is creating this gigantic field, magnetic field, and pushing away those harmful radiations. What an amazing power. Like, I just wanted to draw that out for you so you understood the magnitude and the power of your heart and this electromagnetic field. So I think we can all agree at this point now that the heart is a magnet. You know how magnets work with the law of attraction, and with that concept, things are drawn in and attracted that have the same resonance, right? Also, there's a polarized magnetic property where opposites attract. That's also true. But we know how magnets work, right? We learned that in like second grade. So not more to expand upon that, but just knowing that if we are walking magnets, living, walking, breathing magnets, drawn in from our heart, then this heart is really a strong partner to partner with every single day to live the life that you want, to draw in the experiences that you want, to launch desires of what your beautiful vision of your life should look like and how you seek fulfillment. Not to mention, it's self-generating. So anytime you feel lack of love, the answer is always draw it right back in, because this is the link to source at all times. Draw it right back in and cultivate self-love before you even try to fall into the trap of validating it externally outside of you. Now, that's not to say you don't enjoy affection or expressions of love. That's totally amazing and fine, but it's falling for the trap of that survival approach where this links back to our lineage in the very early times of human evolution, which we still have imprints of course, when we would feel discomfort or void or needing something, hungry. So you went out the cave and you hunt and gathered resources outside of it to bring it in to satiate that hunger, to satiate or to fill in that gap, to fill in the void. You don't need to use a survivalist approach anymore for the purpose of experiencing love. That's always within you. It is never ending. You're always connected in with Source, who loves you unconditionally. This is truly the magnet that'll draw in more experiences. Once you turn on your heart and you're not afraid to live from here, then that is going to bring in more loving experiences toward you. So that's just kind of like peering into the realm of what's possible when you are connected in with your heart. Of course, this whole journey is experiential, but I promise you, the more you develop a relationship with your heart, I promise you, the more fulfilling your life will feel, the more love you can draw upon and share and experience with others, the more lit up in passion you will be. But first things first, you have to understand some of these fundamentals, do daily practices, and continue to make it an ardent intention every single day to live from the heart. Now, even as I live and breathe and share these tools, doesn't mean that I've mastered it. Please don't think that. I think this is going to be a constant daily practice. But the more we are all living from our hearts, it's like the more light bulbs start to shine a little bit brighter instead of as dim or kind of like in and out, shaky, off and on. If one by one, these light bulbs start to shine a little bit brighter and more consistently, what a big difference that would make in tens of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, hundreds and thousands of people, millions of people across the globe. Like that does have significant power and potential to even shift us into a whole new way of being. Living from the hearts is a 5D lifestyle. I don't know if you're familiar with 5D. That's like an unpacking for another video altogether, but I will say that is the baseline frequency of that kind of world. And we are moving towards that. We're evolving towards that. But that aside, do this for you, for your life, and building the desires, life, the passions that you want. Your purpose is connected in with your heart. That's why they always say, follow your heart to your life's desires, or, do your passions and you'll never work a day in your life. Those sayings draw from the same aspect I'm trying to portray here, that your heart is always going to be leading you towards those desires that light you up. Okay, so to wrap up, the heart is your source of power, because look at all that energy. Look at that expansive toroidal field, drawing in the experiences and also acting as an amplifier to send that out toward other people. Like, have you ever walked into a room and someone had this aura about them? They were just so very loving, and you could sense a very loving presence from them. That's their soul resonance. That is this field that you are experiencing and interacting with. Your heart is the space of unconditional love as well. Unconditional love is seated only in your heart. It is not something the mind can wrap itself around. It doesn't understand unconditional love. But this is available for you to have for yourself, to know that God, universe, higher power loves you unconditionally. And so when you source everything from here first, any external validations are just bonus. It's like the cherry on top. So experiencing unconditional love for yourself is going to radiate that outward, and it'll be easier for those other experiences to come into your field because you're radiating it. I hope this is all making sense. Okay, your heart is also going to be your place of passion. It is going to be your place of experiencing joy and expressing joy. In short, your heart is expansive. It's always going to be in those expanding frequencies. If you've ever seen that frequencies of emotions chart, I'm going to be sharing a lot more about those and how they tie in with emotions later, but basically there's two major scales. The top scale is like how we perceive as positive emotions. And then the lower scale is negative emotions, or things that we don't like to feel. Basically, anything involving the heart is going to be anything from that higher perspective or higher spectrum, love, gratitude, joy, enlightenment, peace, etc. So this is definitely the place to live your life from, not the mind. I know that this is going to be kind of weird, and I don't anticipate us taking some time to kind of really unpack that, because we've just been so conditioned to think only from the mind and to live our lives from the mind. Hey, what do you think? What were your thoughts on this? What did you think of when you said this? It's always like think, think, think. And as a clairsentient empath, I'm like, what about the feels? How do you feel about this? Look at this graph. How do you feel about it? There's also emotional intelligence that we don't always celebrate or champion. But, I got you covered there too. We're going to be working on emotional intelligence this year. And then lastly, just want to reiterate that the expansive energy from your heart is always going to draw that back into you too. So, if I haven't already convinced you, let me just say one more time that cultivating a deeper connection with your heart is only going to make your life tenfold better than what you may even think you can experience, because the scale just keeps going infinitely up. One thing we didn't talk a lot about in this video was how it's a guidance system. Anytime you are in those lower vibrations, that lower scale of emotions, like emotional pain or feeling numb or disconnect, you're feeling a not good feeling because your heart is trying to say, hey, come back to center, come back to the heart. Let's shift our thoughts, let's shift our perspective, and trying to remind you just how freaking powerful you are, how you need to come back to your heart, because where you're at isn't in your heart. If you're in your heart, then it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be an issue. I hope that makes sense. Of course, there's so much nuances, more to unpack there, but I just wanted to, from a macro level, draw that out. Heart is the place of connection, our interconnection, our personal relationships, and our the way we connect with all living sentient life. Even Mother Gaia, she is a sentient creation of just pure amazing magnitude. If you ever are interested in checking out the Netflix documentary One Strange Rock, I binge watch that constantly, and I have for years, because it continues to inspire and empower me to love this amazing process of evolution of Mother Earth Gaia, and just helps me see even more like how she's a living being. Anyway, so our connection to all sentient life, ourselves, other people, other animals, to our environment, connection is fostered within the heart. If you are removed from the heart space, it's going to be harder to have genuine connections, because people can feel it. People can feel a warm heart connection, and that's like a magnet. It's like drawing bees to the honey. They want that good stuff. Everyone loves love, versus being disconnected or cold or shuttered. No one wants that. And so it would be a little bit more difficult in that context to cultivate relationships and connection. But we're all wired for connection. Even we don't always have to be extroverted here. Connection that makes us feel good. And then finally, this list could go on forever, but I just kind of bulleted some of the top ones. The heart is limitless. It does not perceive limitations, because God doesn't perceive limitations. That's a mind thing. That's an ego thing. But more on that later. I just wanted to break down exactly how the heart works for you, so you can understand the inner workings and how truly powerful, to the magnitude that I can't even draw into words, but I know you will experience as you continue to work on this muscle, beautiful heart, and diving deeper into that connection. I have linked some resources for you in the description box, and I also invite you to make the shift, to set the intention to live more from the heart every single day. Drop hearts in the comments below if you're ready to make that shift. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you in the next one.